Welcome to the NZ Travel Show, an interactive show where you can ask your NZ travel questions to the experts behind nzpocketguide.com, New Zealand's largest travel guide. The NZ Travel Show will start in exactly 2 minutes. Just the time for you to hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and subscribe if you have not done so yet. nzpocketguide.com has over 3,000 articles covering all aspects of travelling in New Zealand, from a working holiday gap year to tips for a perfect family holiday. The site also features dozens of pre-made itineraries that you can use to plan your ideal trip in New Zealand. It's all available for free at nzpocketguide.com, so check it out. The NZ Travel Show is hosted by Robin, the Operations Manager of South Pacific Pocket Guide, the company behind nzpocketguide.com. The New Zealand Travel Show is also hosted by Laura, a journalist and editor-in-chief of South Pacific Pocket Guide and all its publications, including nzpocketguide.com. We're exactly 1 minute away from the NZ Travel Show. Get yourself comfortable and start asking your NZ travel questions in the chat. Robin and Laura will go over them when the show starts. In 30 seconds, our experts will be live from New Zealand to give you all the practical New Zealand travel tips you need, from the best transport options to the best accommodations and activities to choose for the perfect New Zealand holiday. Live from New Zealand, this is the NZ Travel Show with your travel experts, Robin and Laura.
Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, the 14th of April, 2024, and this is the NZ Travel Show. I had almost a blank. Is it? It's 8 a.m. also, so yeah. So it's 8 a.m. here in New Zealand, and we're here to answer all your questions about traveling to New Zealand. Laura, well, how does that work?
All right.
Where'd you put the questions?
Yeah, you guys can ask your New Zealand travel questions in the live chat, and we go through every single one of them throughout the live show. But if you do miss the live show, you can also put your questions in the comments section of this video or any of our YouTube videos. And Robin is very good at replying to everybody, so he does a good job there.
Except when you say really nasty things to us, which a lot of people on the internet love to do. At that point, you just get banned from the channel, and it's okay too.
Yeah, so, but throughout the live show, we do have a theme that we go through in between going through all your questions. So Robin will go through that just shortly after saying hi to Adil, who is on the live chat right now, saying Kia ora, Robin, Laura, and all the viewers.
All right. So, yeah, as Laura pointed out, we're going to go through our theme of the week. And so today with our theme of the week, we're going to be driving.
Driving?
Yes, that's right. All right, so today our theme of the week is going to be Lake Tekapo. It is on the bucket list of pretty much everybody traveling in New Zealand. But once you've taken that beautiful photo of the superbly blue lake, the beautiful mountain range in the background, this church of the Good Shepherd and the Loopin Flowers, if you were there at the right time of the year, well, you know, what else is there to do, right? One shot, is it really worth the pit stop? Well, yes, it is. We have compiled 30 things to do in Lake Tekapo for you, so that should incentivize you to stay a little longer, and that's what we're going to cover in this video. Oh, and the drive, it's driving from, I think, Lake Tekapo all the way to Mount Cook. I think that's what we're doing right now. So, yeah, we are in around the right region. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be watching, a stunning drive. We may even, if we talk for long enough, be able to see Lake Pukaki.
Well, hopefully. That's pretty early on into the drive.
Okay, so let's begin our best things to do in Lake Tekapo with number 1, because which other number should you begin with? And it's stargazing.
Yeah, so one of the things that Lake Tekapo and the surrounding region is most famous for is being an international dark sky reserve, meaning that it has some of the best lighting conditions, or lack of lighting conditions, to make a super dark skies for very vivid stargazing.
If you want to know more about dark sky reserves, by the way, a couple of weeks ago we did a full show about that, so yeah.
Yeah, so there are a couple of options, or more than a couple actually, of options when it comes to stargazing in Lake Tekapo, which we will go throughout the video. But first of all, probably the most sort of, the biggest tour there is with Dark Sky Project. Now they have two main tour options. They do have a indoor or a daytime option, which is going to the Dark Sky Experience, which is like a multimedia exhibition to learn more about the beautiful dark skies and constellations and Milky Way and all that good stuff. If you're not able to stay in Lake Tekapo overnight to go on one of their evening tours or more like middle of the night tours, then then that is a good sort of alternative. However, they do also do tours up to the Mount John Observatory, going to some really powerful dome telescopes, so you get to sort of get the full night sky experience with people that are, they also have on-site photographers, so if you have the right sort of camera, they'll take some
They'll change the settings for you if you're a noob, which is really handy.
They'll take some good star photos for you. They'll keep you nice and cozy with some big coats and some hot chocolates and all that stuff to keep you warm. So yeah, it's a tour that obviously they try and do it at the darkest time of the evening or night, so it usually is quite late into the night. But yeah, that is a way to get your full sort of dark sky experience.
Indeed. So before we move on to number 2, Sofa says, Kiara, I just visited your gorgeous country for the whole month of February. Absolutely stunning. Thank you so much for your recommendation. It was very, in capital letter, helpful.
Oh, you're very welcome.
That's lovely.
Sofa.
So what was your favorite things to do in New Zealand? Give us a bit of feedback of things that surprised you and everything. Give us something to work with right here. I'd love to hear more about your trip. Okay, so number 2 on our list, we're going to stick with the stargazing because there is some options to join really small group tours, stargazing, almost private tours, which is quite cool.
Yeah, so apart from, the big Dark Sky Project tour that we talked about, there are actually some smaller tours that are lesser known, but still well worth considering. They're also cheaper than the full Dark Sky Project tour. So, for instance, Chameleon Stargazing is one of those tours, and they take you on small group tours where they also have some really good dedicated telescopes to stargazing, so it's not just like you're seeing the night sky with the naked eye.
Wait. The main selling point is not the roasted marshmallows at the end?
We'll get to that.
Because I think the main selling point is the roasted marshmallows at the end.
Yeah, and they also have, like laser pointers and stuff, so they can sort of show you certain star constellations in the sky. And yes, they also have some nice cozy features as well. So they have some comfortable chairs and blankets that you can sit on, because it does get pretty cold doing the night tours in Lake Tekapo. And they do sort of conclude the tour with a nice marshmallows around the fireball. So yeah, it's an alternative sort of stargazing experience that's definitely worth considering.
All right, before we move on to number 2, Sofa says that Lake Tarawewa, Bay of Plenty and New Plymouth, so stunning. Your videos were so helpful. I'm hooked now.
Wow, that's some great alternative locations to go to. Yeah, that's definitely like a little bit off the main tourist trail, so it's great that you actually got to go to those places. Like New Plymouth and the Taranaki region is so beautiful, but it's usually so far out of the way for most people, so it's great. And also Lake Tarawera is absolutely stunning as well. I absolutely agree.
I know, it's such a really unique trip. So you've only done the North Island, I'm guessing. You haven't gone to the South Island, or maybe you have, but that didn't stick to you.
Maybe the highlights were in the North Island.
No, I love it. Wow, that is such a unique trip. So I absolutely love that. Sofa. I love your name too. Keep commenting because I want to keep saying that name. All right. Cool. So let's move on to our number 3 things to do in Lake Tekapo as we are turning a corner to make our way towards Mount Cook. And so that's something that pretty much everybody that will pass nearby Lake Tekapo will do, and that's the thing that you probably know Tekapo for, and that's taking a photo of the Church of the Good Shepherd.
Yeah, so
Shepherd.
Yes, so the Church of the Good Shepherd is that very cute-looking stone church that you have probably seen lots of photos of, right in front of the beautiful blue waters of Lake Tekapo, and then with the mountains in the background. Usually you'll see photos of it surrounded by these purple flowers called lupins, which are there during the summer months.
Which are?
Well, they're there from November, but the summer months are December, January, and February.
So if you go from November to about February, January, actually, this is when it's your best time to see the Lupin flower. I'm just asking, so a lot of people ask us.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure they say it.
Yeah, but bear in mind that it is one of the most popular sort of tourist attractions, not only in Lake Tekapo, but possibly in the whole of the South Island, possibly in the whole of New Zealand. So when you get there, there will likely be a lot of people. And, you know, taking your photos, you gotta have to have some good Photoshop editing skills to get rid of all the little people that will be in your shots.
So are you just like subtly bragging about your Photoshop skills? Like, is that what's happening right here?
No, of course not. So yeah, just do bear that in mind. And this is often just like a quick stop that a lot of people do as they're traveling around the South Island. Not many people actually stick around the area for too long. So if you're staying in Lake Tekapo, you can obviously wait until the quieter times of day if you go early morning or in the evening. But even then, there's a few budding photographers that are usually sort of waiting to take their star photos and stuff in the area.
So far says they only did the North Island this trip. The South Island is next trip for sure. Oh,
Excellent.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know, but we're on Patreon. So if you want to join us on Patreon, we actually help you plan your itinerary. We do weekly group calls, which we have one literally in 50 minutes. So at the end of this live show, we do a Google Meet like group call. And we have a secret Facebook group where we can hang out and chat together like all week long and all that. So if you're interested, you can find the link in the description of this video. Okay, so let's move on to number 4. And so we hinted at it very strongly just before, and it's those Lupin flowers. So a lot of people go there for those Lupin fields, which are technically a pest.
Yes.
But they look really pretty.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realise that they're actually an invasive species in New Zealand, these purple Lupin flowers. So they're actually seeing them along the waterways in this part of the country is usually not really a good thing, but admittedly, they are very pretty for photos. So, as many people know, you can mostly find them around the Church of the Good Shepherd, but there are actually other areas around Lake Tekapo where you can...
Less populated, less busy areas.
Less busy areas, yeah. So, for instance, we really like just alongside Lakeside Drive, there's a holiday park along this road, and then just across the road, you have like lots of lupin flowers right next to the lake and some sort of alternative... well, it's still mountain and lake scenery, but just away from the tourist crowd. So if you're looking to get sort of like alternative pictures there, then heading down Lakeside Drive is a good idea.
And again, I'm going to repeat, November to February is the best time of the year for the lupins.
Yes.
So yeah, keep that in mind. All right, so number 5 on our list, we have a scenic flight. So there are some really cool scenic flights around the Southern Alps, and some of them leave from Lake Tekapo.
Yeah, so Lake Tekapo does have a small airport where there are scenic flights departing, for instance, with air safaris. We do have a video on this channel of us doing this experience if you want to see it for yourself. And it's really great. The plane itself has sort of has really huge windows also that sort of bulge out a little bit, so it gives you space between you and your camera.
It's kind of like the one only time you can kind of stick your head out of the plane. You know, it's kind of like, it's really cool in that way.
Yeah, so, and also it's a great way to see Mount Cook, which is New Zealand's tallest mountain, to see the Tasman Glacier, which is New Zealand's longest glacier, but also you get to see the Franz Josef Glacier and Fox Glacier, which is just on the other side of those mountains. So it's a really good way to sort of get all this scenery, but perhaps if you don't have time to actually get to those areas for your itinerary, then this is a really good way to sort of see it all. And honestly, like seeing it from the sky, you get so many amazing scenes of really dramatic mountains and amazing lakes and braided rivers. So, you know, you're going to get some amazing scenic photos, or if you're not really into taking photos, and just marveling at the views of your eyes. It's a really amazing experience. So yeah, I mean, if you've got it in your budget to do it, then it's highly recommended.
Indeed. And if you tend to be a little scared of flying, actually, the air safari, so those ones which are doing it from Lake Tekapo Airport, they probably have the largest one of those scenic planes. Like a lot of the scenic planes are a little smaller and they kind of like move a little bit more. They have a slightly larger one, so that'll be your option. Just my take.
Good point.
On that one.
Yeah.
All right. So number 6, after you laced about, sat on the plane, sat by the lake shore, and sat at night under the stars, we're going to get you moving a little bit, and we're going to get you to hike up Mount John.
Yeah, so if you're looking for some free things to do and some good places to get some more amazing scenery, because that's what Lake Tekapo is all about, then you can take the walking trail up Mount John. Up Mount John is actually where they have the... Do you want me to say Mount John?
Yeah, one more time. Yeah,
up Mount John.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, up there, it's where they have the big observatory, but they do have a walkway around the area, and it starts right next to Tekapo Springs, which we'll get onto later in the video, which is at the end of Lakeside Drive. The walk takes, it can be anywhere between an hour and 30 minutes to 3 hours. There's a way to extend the loop a little bit longer, but you might just find yourself sort of taking it slowly to take in all the views,
especially if you're doing it in summer, because there's not that much coverage, like it's not too much like inside the forest or anything like that, so it can get really hot. So don't overexert yourself, and just make sure that you drink water along the way, and just take it at your own pace, because it can get really hot climbing that mountain.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, when I did it there last time, I actually went sort of on an evening, so as the sun wasn't too intense, like late afternoon, and I could manage to knock it out in a late afternoon.
Nice. Okay, so number 7 on our list is also a very popular one, and that is the Tekapo Springs. You hinted at it, so let's go.
Yeah, so Lake Tekapo does have its own hot pools complex, which is simply called Tekapo Springs, and they have sort of 3 main large hot pool areas which vary in temperature, and they're all named after different lakes in the area, which is quite cool. But it's not just about the hot pools there. They actually do have quite a lot of features. So in winter, they have like sort of tobogganing-ish type things. I'm forgetting the name now, where you're just sort of sliding around in those donuts.
Yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah,
okay,
tobogganing,
cool. I think. Yeah, luge maybe? No, not really.
No, not
quite.
Sled. Yeah, it's kind of like sledding in sort of inflatable donut rings. And
for the inner child in you.
Yeah, they also have ice skating and stuff like that in winter, so that makes it a really cool winter experience. But then in summer, they also have this sort of huge inflatable water park. So if you want to do some sort of like just have some crazy fun before relaxing in the hot pools, you can do that. They also have an on-site cafe. Also at the hot pools complex itself, I forgot to mention that they have like sort of like a kids play area, and really good sort of like little water attraction there. And then finally, on an evening, they do the Tekapo Springs Stargazing tour. So as you're relaxing in the pools, they have these sort of water hammocks, so you can lie back and look at the stars, and they'll do a little bit of a tour there to sort of tell you about the beautiful constellations you're seeing, of course, when the weather is playing ball.
Indeed. All right, so on number 8, there is the statue in Lake Tekapo of a famous dog that needs to be pat regularly. Yes.
Yeah. So
tell us the story.
One thing you might, if you're just popping in and out to see the Church of the Good Shepherd, you might miss this little guy, but he's right nearby, and that is the McKenzie sheepdog statue. So there is a statue of a sheepdog there, and you may wonder, like, what is this all about? It is the dog of a pioneer settler of the area.
First permanent settler of the area.
Yes, James Mackenzie was the settler, and his dog was called Friday. So there's a statue dedicated to this dog. You can go and take a photo of it.
And you'll see that like all those kind of like bronzy statue, right? People always pet them at about the same area, so you see that there's some like gold shiny
nice
kind of
shiny
area.
sections.
Yeah. So that's where people pet him. All right. So next up, another way to kind of like get that body moving is either hiking or biking. Actually, the Cowan Hill Walkway.
Yeah, so another walk that you could do in the area is the Cowan's Hill Walkway. And yeah, you can actually, if you are traveling with a bike or actually in town there are bike rentals available, then it's a grade 2 trail, which tends to be on the easier side of the mountain biking trails. So it is quite accessible for most people.
Which means it's extremely easy to walk
Which means it's very easy to walk, yes. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, if you want it as a free option, it is very easy to do and gives you alternative views of the Lake Tekapo area. You sort of have more of those sort of rolling, well, in summer they're more like golden hills, but in winter they're more rolling green and sort of blue hills. Blue hills, blue lakes. So yeah, this walk is sort of an alternative walk to do in the area, and it starts right nearby the road bridge going into Lake Tekapo Township.
All right, so as we're about to reach number 10, it's a good time for me to remind you guys that if we're talking about some items and you're like, oh, what did they say? What did they mean? Or how do you spell that? There's a link in the description of this video that will send you straight to an article on the NZ Pocket Guide, which will have all those 30 points. So if you want to follow with us, or if you want to have the link to like the companies we're mentioning or anything like that, it's all within the article. So there's a link right in the description to make your life easy. All right, so if you want a bit of a thrill ride and you also want to see a lot of the backcountries of Lake Tekapo, you can get a 4-wheel drive tour.
Yes.
That's your number 10.
That is the number 10. So yes, Tekapo Adventures does 4-wheel drive tours, taking you to some much lesser visited areas around the Lake Tekapo backcountry. And yeah, usually their tours are half a day, so you can do. They have a morning departure and an afternoon departure. So really like flexible options there if you're only just staying for like half the day. It's family friendly. It's really good if if you're not really into all this hiking and all this, just doing a lot of mountain climbing and stuff. You don't really have to. Lake Tekapo sort of sorts all that out for you.
The lake itself.
Lake Tekapo Adventures, I meant to say. So yeah, it just offers another unique way to explore this stunning area and make the most of the beautiful surroundings for longer.
All right. So that's 10. We obviously have 10 more coming up right along. But first, let's talk to Adil. What is Adil asking?
Adil is asking, are the activities that were mentioned on today's show wheelchair accessible?
Okay, so stargazing, yes, it probably is wheelchair accessible.
Yes.
The photos of the Church of the Good Shepherd, yes,
absolutely,
you want a car park, so yeah, you absolutely can. Frolicking amongst the Lupins, well, you can kind of a little bit make your way around, but it's a lot of pebbles and everything, so I'd say probably not.
Probably not getting stuck, getting in amongst all the Lupins is obviously quite challenging in the wheelchair.
When it comes down to the Scenic Flights, you probably will have to contact the companies and see if, it will be depending on like how much accommodations you will need within the flight, but that's likely that it probably will be the case. When it comes down to the 2 hikes that we mentioned, it's probably not going to be the case. And how about Tekapo Springs? I'm pretty sure they have a couple of pools which are wheelchair accessible, right? Because they have the ramp that goes down, right?
Yeah, so there are some pools that are wheelchair accessible. In terms of like wheelchair lifts and things like that, I don't seem to recall that they have anything like that. So, I mean, as long as you've got some range of mobility, you can probably do Tekapo Springs, but obviously it will be maybe limited for some people.
When it comes down to the statue of the dog, it's actually quite high. It's actually really high up,
yeah,
so
you
can look at it, but you probably wouldn't be able to pet it. But I think it's about the same thing. And when it comes down to the 4-wheel drive tour, the same thing. You probably will have to contact them and see how much they can accommodate, depending on
I do remember
what requirements you
have. When writing the article for like activities that are good for wheelchair users, Tekapo Adventures are ones that do advertise themselves as being a good option for people with mobility issues. So they are one of the better 4-wheel drive tours to contact for if you want to do that sort of experience.
Nice. All right, so before we get on to the next 10, where are we, Laura? Where are we driving right now?
Yeah, so now we're driving up the side of Lake Pukaki. Yeah, that's the beautiful lake that you can see on the side there. And yeah, soon you'll be able to see Mount Cook in the distance, which is the highest mountain.
Yes, it's
in New Zealand.
it's pretty easy to spot Mount Cook. Just look at the Southern Alps, and the one that sticks the highest, it's Mount Cook.
I think I can see it.
Yeah, literally
now.
as you just said it,
Yeah.
I think it just appeared. Yeah, she's quite
So the
cool.
little sort of the peaked one, you should is Mount Cook.
Okay, Laura, should we do a few more things to do in Lake Tekapo?
Absolutely.
Do remember, guys, if you have any questions or any comments, just make sure to put them in the comments. We're here to answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. But in the meantime, we'll do our little theme of the week. Okay, so next up on our list, fittingly enough, as we are watching ourselves driving to Mount Cook, is taking a day trip to Aoraki Mount Cook.
Yeah, so Lake Tekapo is actually not too far from Aoraki Mount Cook National Park, which is famous again for all its amazing scenery, for the highest mountain in New Zealand that you'll see pretty much constantly as you're exploring the park. They also have a cool sort of information center there, which it's more like a museum, so that's a cool feature. There's also the Sir Edmund Hillary Alpine Center as well, with a planetarium and all this good stuff. So there really is quite a lot to do there. And if you are in Lake Tekapo, and if, for instance, you don't have your own transport, then you do not need to worry, because there's actually some day shuttles that can take you to Mount Cook and back to Lake Tekapo. So that's available with Cheeky Kiwi Travel and Tekapo Shuttle. They're two good companies to get in touch with if you just want to take the day trip.
All right, so if you are in the winter months in Lake Tekapo, and the winter in New Zealand is June to August, you can go skiing or snowboarding, which is quite cool.
Yeah, so there's two ski fields that are sort of just on one side of Lake Tekapo. It's a little bit of a drive to get there from the town itself, but definitely not too far, and well worth it if you are a snowboarder or a skier. So there's the Round Hill ski area, and then also the Mount Dobson ski fields. So they're not as
So yeah, I was about to say, let's set expectations right? Both of them are ski areas and ski fields are very small in New Zealand.
Yes.
And the equipment is basic.
Yeah, so it's not like the big sort of ski resorts that you might find in Europe or in the US or Canada. These ski fields in New Zealand usually have quite basic facilities in terms of lifts. So you usually have to be able to know how to use a T-bar or a sort of Pomato lift, that sort of thing. I don't even think these two ski fields have a chairlift even. So
No, I don't think so.
yeah,
either.
so you need to be sort of comfortable with that. And yeah, I think on one of the ski fields here actually as well, you have to sort of walk the last bit to get up to the ski area. So not always can you drive right to where you ski. So just bear that in mind. It's more of an adventure when it comes to skiing in New Zealand.
Okay, so unlucky number 13, we have the Richmond Trail.
Yeah, so speaking of the ski areas, during the months where it's not too snowy, there are
So not June, not July, and not August. All the other months is kind of okay.
yeah, and maybe not September either.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this area there's a couple of walking trails that are heading right alongside Lake Tekapo, and the first one we're going to mention is the Richmond Trail. Both the walks we're going to mention are quite long, so it really is like a sort of full day escapade. So the full walk is 4 to 5 hours, and it is one way, and it ends in a different location to where it begins. So you either go with two vehicles and sort of drive back to where you started, or you just do half the trail and sort of come back halfway through. But you can also do this trail via mountain bike, so that usually takes about 2 to 3 hours to do it by mountain bike.
So therefore you can do the back and forth.
Yeah, or you can sort of do the whole trail, and then it's not so much of a big deal to cycle back down the gravel road to where you came from. And yeah, bear in mind also to access these trails that they are on gravel roads, which a lot of rental cars policies do not allow in New Zealand, or it means your insurance is void.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have yet another trail. As
Yes.
Laura was hinting, there is a series of trails coming up now, and it's a section of the Te Araroa Trail.
Yeah, so this is the Camp Stream Hut track. And this trail actually starts pretty much on the other side of the road from the Richmond Trail.
Well, the Te Araroa Trail starts all the way in Cape Reinga.
Yeah, so the Te Araroa Trail, for those of you who don't know, this is a what they call a through hike, which means basically walking for days on end through the entire country. So
Exactly, so you
starting
start all the way on top and finish all the way at the bottom, and you can go throughout. And that section we're talking about is just one few hours section of
Yes.
that month-long big hike.
Yeah, so yeah, you can sort of experience this. That it usually takes 3 to 4 hours again one way, but it leads up to a very basic hut, which doesn't have too much facilities, but you know, you can try it out. First come, first serve basis. But yeah, or you can just sort of turn back, come back the way you came. So yeah, that's another hiking option available. Again, getting views of Lake Tekapo like side on, and obviously more beautiful mountains and all that good stuff.
Indeed. All right, so next up, and so we're arriving at number 15. Very fittingly enough, as I was gazing at how beautifully blue the lake was, it's soaking in the scenery of Lake Pukaki.
Yeah, so essentially the neighboring lake.
Here, just under me, right here.
Yeah.
That.
Essentially, the neighbouring lake to Lake Tekapo is Lake Pukaki. Now, if you came into Lake Tekapo via the west side, then you will have already seen the lake by the time you get there. But on the other hand, if you have come from, say, Christchurch, and you maybe want to do a bit of a day trip if you're staying around in the area, or just as you're leaving Lake Tekapo, then make sure to pop in on the roadside at Lake Pukaki. There's lots of really large parking areas sort of scattered along the lakefront there, so there's like good safe parking. And then there's a walking trail that's really well formed that follows the lake shores. So yeah, there's really like a lot of good photo opportunities. The lake colour is a bit more milky blue than the vibrant blue of Lake Tekapo. So you know, there's different blues to encounter.
Different hues of blues.
Hues of blues. So yeah, obviously another good photo opportunity.
Okay, so at Lake Pukaki, one of the best track to tackle is the Kettle Hole track, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is, if you want to spend more time in Lake Pukaki, then there is a really interesting walking trail that sort of goes up around sort of up the hills on the back of Lake Pukaki. So it's a bit of a short gravel road to access the beginning of the trail, but nothing that the car rental companies need to know about. And when you get there...
Again, we legally do not advise you to do all that, but, you know... you shouldn't.
Yeah,
Don't.
yeah. So what's interesting about this is that you'll see some other sort of glacier carved features called Kettle Holes, which have been caused by melting glacial ice. There are information signs there to tell you more about it, and it's sort of like a big sort of hole with water in. Kind of like a mini lake that you get to see on the way there. And then on a clear day, you will get really beautiful views of the whole surrounding area. So of Lake Pukaki, of all the beautiful tussock rolling hills behind you, and of the mountains in the far distance.
All right, as we're negotiating a one-way bridge amongst the beautiful braided rivers of the Mount Cook area, leaving Tekapo, we're moving on to number 17, which is the Culinary Scene. So we've got some great report of amazing food from some of our Patreon in Lake Tekapo, haven't we?
Yes, so there really is quite a lot of cafes there because Lake Tekapo is a popular stop where it's more of a pit stop for most. After they've taken a picture of the Church of the Good Shepherd, then it's like, well, let's get something to eat. So if you want to go for sort of those like Kiwi cafe vibes, then Jack Rabbit is a good option. Also, you can actually get views of the Church of the Good Shepherd from there. Also, there's the Astro Cafe, which is located at Mount John Summit. So obviously more spectacular views from there. Although it's not right in Lake Tekapo town, you do have to drive a little bit up the hill to get there. And then finally, more if you're staying on an evening and you want to have have an evening dinner, then the Blue Lake Eatery and Bar is a really good option, known for its contemporary New Zealand cuisine, combined with craft beer and specialty cocktails.
Indeed. All right. So we are parking at Mount Cook Airport, I see. And we're moving on to number 18. We're going to tee off and pet some animals at the Alpine Resort, the Cairns Alpine Resort over there.
Yeah, so there's sort of two main attractions at the Cairns Alpine Resort. They also do fancy accommodation if you want to stay there the night. But first of all, they do have a 9-hole golf course, which they've set up to also do like an 18-hole round, and obviously you're golfing in some of the most beautiful scenery in the whole of New Zealand. So if you're into golfing, you don't even need to have your own gear. They have all that sorted there. You can hire clubs, hire golf carts, trundlers, etc. So it's pretty easy.
But Laura, what if you want to pet the animals?
Yeah, getting onto the good stuff. They also have a petting zoo there. So yeah, if you want to go, stroke some animals like sheep or alpaca, bunnies, lambs, calves, and pigs, then they have all that there at their petting zoo as well, which is fun for all the family.
All right. So speaking of fun for all the families, something you can take the kids for about 10 minutes. You can keep them entertained for only 10 minutes with that, but there are some art galleries in Tekapo.
Yeah, so perhaps you've arrived in the Tekapo area on a bad day.
It happens. It has known to rain at times in New Zealand.
Then there is at least one indoor art gallery that you can check out sort of on your way in or out of Lake Tekapo, which is the Garage Gallery, which is located on the road between Lake Tekapo and Fairlie. And they have some really amazing paintings of New Zealand landscape. So if you've been wowed by the landscapes you've been seeing and you want to get a piece of that to take home with you, then that's what the Garage Gallery is all about. However, there is an alternative sort of art scene that typically happens during the summer months, typically December and January at Lake Tekapo on the waterfront. The Art Space Tekapo sets up a sculpture walk. So yeah, if you are visiting during summer, make sure that you keep an eye out on the waterfront, see if there's any sort of events going on, and take a nice little sculpture walk.
All right, arriving at number 20, there's a spa in Tekapo.
Well, just outside of Lake Tekapo, not too far away. So yeah, you can drive. It's more along the shores of Lake Pukaki. There are two sort of luxury lodges that have day spas there. So there's the Mount Cook Lakeside Retreat and Lakestone Lodge. So yeah, if you are staying a while in the area, or perhaps again you've come to Lake Tekapo on a rainy day, then having a nice relaxing spa treatment is definitely a possibility in this remote little nook of New Zealand, thanks to those two very fancy lakeside lodges.
Indeed. All right, so we'll have 10 more things to do very shortly, but first up, we're going to give Laura a little bit of a break and look at the stunning scenery. So to help you orientate a little bit, we have left Lake Tekapo around the beginning of this video. Actually, we were about halfway through the road already, but and we made our way along Lake Pukaki, which is still not too far away from the road right here, and we're making our way towards Mount Cook, and that's probably why you're seeing so many buses. It is a very popular destination, and so that road is full to the brim with buses. We took a little stop at the airport of Mount Cook, which is actually located relatively far away from
Was
Mount
it
Cook
the airport
itself.
or was it the Glentana Park? There's two airports on the way up to Mount Cook.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was the Glentana Park. That was the first one, because we are going to go to the I'm ahead. I'm ahead. We're going to get to the Mount Cook Airport later on. So we stop at the Glentana Park, and now we're making our way towards Mount Cook itself. What is in front of us right here are the beautiful sceneries of the Southern Alps, and we're driving this in summer, which the summer months in New Zealand are December, January, February. But what you can notice is the fact that, yes, it's really dry around and it's really, summery weather. But in the background, you can see that there's still a lot of snow, because in New Zealand, we do have permanent snow on top of some of the highest peaks in the Southern Alps. So a lot of people quite often ask us, can I see snow in New Zealand in and then insert a summer month right here and, a sentence about being really stressed because they've never seen snow before and they want to see snow in New Zealand, but they're coming in summer. Yes, you can. The options for you to see snow are obviously to head toward the Southern Alps and to see them from afar, or to join some of the activities that would allow you to get up there. Some of those activities include helicopter tours. They would include ski planes, which if you want to see more about, we literally used it as a video, as a background video last week. I can't remember what the theme was last week, but we did. We had that as a...
What was it?
Winter packing. Here you go. We used it for winter packing. So you can see snow in New Zealand even in summer in New Zealand. So that's just something that a lot of people ask us quite often.
Maybe, I was just going to say, maybe one thing we can do before we go on to more things is we can tell Adil which one that's of what we just talked about were wheelchair accessible.
Okay, yeah, if you want. So let's rewind. So the spa, definitely. The art gallery, yep.
Yeah.
The petting the animals, the golfing, maybe, probably not.
Culinary Scene of Lake Tekapo, yes.
Yes,
you can
of
go
course,
to
the cafes.
Not the Kettle Hole track.
Nope.
Definitely you can park up on the side of the Lake Pukaki.
Yeah.
The car parks are, really accessible. You don't necessarily...
Yeah, and so that's what I was about to say about the drive, actually. It's actually one of the easiest drive in New Zealand as well. Like, aside from like one-way bridges that you've seen us pass, it's relatively flat. You have really good visibility. So you have, a lot of buses, but you see them coming from afar.
Yes.
So it's actually one of the best drive, and the sceneries is really stunning, which also really helps.
Yeah.
And you see that on the side of the road quite regularly. There are some extra kind of sections where you can actually park and take in the scenery. So it's a really good drive to do. It's a really enjoyable one, and I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
Okay, continuing talking about what's accessible.
Not the Camp Street Stream hut track. Sorry.
Ooh.
There we go. Richmond Trail, no. And then obviously skiing, snowboarding, no. A day trip to Mount Cook, yes, you can. You can check on our we do have a best walks in Mount Cook article, and there are some of those walks are wheelchair accessible, some of the short walks. So maybe just have a look at that article to see which ones.
All right, so let's wrap it up with 10 more things in a very quick fashion to do in Lake Tekapo, beginning with snowshoeing.
Yeah, so during the winter months, you can join, for instance, Alpine Recreation for one of their outdoor tours, doing climbing, skiing, snowshoeing, all that good stuff.
And then horse riding.
Yeah, there is also horse riding available at Lake Tekapo, available with McKenzie Alpine horses.
Then kayaking or paddleboarding, or kayaking and paddleboarding at the same time, one fit in each?
Yeah, it depends how skilled you are. So yeah, you can enjoy sort of a nice casual paddling cruise on Lake Tekapo with sup board and kayak rentals available with Paddle Tekapo. Okay,
one more hike/biking track, Laura. Which one?
So this one goes up alongside Lake Pukaki. That's the Braemar Road to Landslip Creek, and you can either hike or cycle it, as Lupin says.
How about a helicopter tour?
Yeah, so there are bespoke helicopter tours available with Mackenzie helicopters. Basically, they don't have any set itineraries or anything. It's just like they'll come pick you up, off you fly, enjoy the amazing scenery.
All right, if you want to kill something, you can go hunting.
Yes, so the backcountry, the high station hunting is available around the Lake Tekapo area, and that's available with Mid-Southern Tracks.
Indeed. You can do a photography workshop if you feel like the New Zealand scenery deserves better photo than what you're currently taking. And
yeah,
you want to upskill.
So obviously being in one of the most photogenic places in the country, if you want to improve your astrophotography, then Photo Tekapo is available to do workshops.
Okay, if you need to relax after a long road trip, what can you do, Laura?
Yeah, so Tekapo Wellness specializes in yoga, wellness classes, wellness retreats, that sort of thing, and they often do their classes in beautiful scenic areas, so that's another option.
We always say stretch your legs during long road trips. May as well do a full stretch.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Everybody's that have been to Lake Tekapo talks about Billy the Bard. Can you give people a quick rundown of what Billy the Bard is?
Okay, Billy the Bard is, what it says on the tin. He's a bard. His name's Billy. So you could often see him at the lake, basically on the lakefront. as like basically at dusk, as the sun's setting and you're starting to see some of the first stars come out. He is there to tell stories, recite poetry, sing songs, sort of obviously to do a lot to do with stargazing, and he wears a funny outfit, like kind of like a Scottish Highlander outfit. So yeah, go. If you're lucky, you might see that happening if you're staying in Lake Tekapo overnight. Yeah.
All right, number 30, Burke Pass.
Burke's Pass. This is the part of the drive that is between Lake Tekapo and Fairlea, and there is a very small settlement partway through, which has some nice sort of historic buildings, some like a cute little church, a little store that is selling like vintage gear and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just an interesting like pit stop to just get out the car, take some photos, and just check out the alternative sort of pioneer settlement vibe going on there.
All right, so that wraps up 30 awesome things to do in Lake Tekapo. If you want to rewind all that and check everything out, there's a link for you in the description below that will send you to an article. Everything is written there. If you want our help to plan your trip to New Zealand, consider joining us on Patreon. There's a link in the description of the video as well. If you want to hit like and subscribe, that's what the YouTube algorithm wants you to do. So please do it, because otherwise we get no views. And aside from that, keep traveling awesome, and we'll see you in the next video. And Christina is here in the live chat. She says, Kia ora all, I had a bridal shower to attend and had to sneak out to get home for the Patreon meeting. Oh yeah, I was telling Laura you're going to show us some photos, so she says she's joining us today as well. Yeah. So that's going to be exciting. Christina's photos, guys. Christina's photos today on Patreon. That's going to be fun. And then she said the Greedy Cow Cafe has yummy food and coffee too.
Yeah, they're like your classic Kiwi cafe with like homemade cabinet food and all that good stuff. So yeah, they're also a really good option in Lake Tekapo.
Plus the name is pretty awesome. I mean, Greedy Cow, that's pretty cool. Adil said, thank you, Robin and Laura, for another informative live show. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much, Adil. That's awesome. Okay, so everybody, we're going to wrap up that show, and in about 10 minutes, we're going to hop on Patreon. Adil says, what is the theme for the next show?
Is it the souvenirs?
Yes, so it's 100 souvenirs you can take back home for your friends and family. So a lot of people kind of get stuck, and you don't want to buy the same kind of like, oh, my friend went to New Zealand and all I got is this lousy t-shirt, or those kind of like horrible souvenirs. So we thought we'd actually give you 100 ideas which are actually decent. And I'll be honest with everybody, there are 90 which are decent, and then there are 10 which I was like, I'm going to put all the nonsense, just for the funnies, right? So there's 90 decent ideas,
the possum-related garments, which we'll get onto.
Yes,
we'll just tease you with some of the possum garments that you can get in New Zealand.
So it promises to be kind of a really fun, fun show. We just thought we'd take a bit of a giggle right here.
Yeah.
A bit like what we did with the celebrity stuff, right? It's just a list which is way too big for an hour, so we're just gonna fly through it and have fun with it. So that's kind of our goal on this one.
Yeah.
Sometimes you shouldn't take yourself too seriously all the time. So that's kind of our little shtick now.
Yeah. And oh my god, this scenery is so good. I'm just like mesmerized by the distance. And I like that it's sort of like framing us in the top there. Like like the mountains are not quite being cut off there. It's just perfect right now.
Yes. I do enjoy this new style that we decided on to add, like, long shot when we do our videos. I hope you guys like it too, but yeah, I want to keep doing that for the next couple of years. Because, I like it.
We're here for 2 more years, folks.
Unless the internet is taken down by
AI.
AI,
It inevitably takes over the world.
All right, everybody. On that happy note, we see you guys on the Patreon call in about 10 minutes. Bye-bye.
See ya.